this horrible year, 2020, where everyone's had to isolate. And honestly, Pastel Society of Maine, I've been thinking that it was going to come back. You know, we would be able to go into society again in another month, another month, another month. And finally, by the time October came, I realized, oh my word, we've been a year without much. So we got to start changing up our ways. So our plan for 2021 is to bring more online. We do have actual activities planned for the year, some shows and some, hopefully, I'm hoping that we'll have a couple of workshops, but working on all that. But meanwhile, we plan to have, we're starting the year with Terry Lynn's workshop on the, what is it, the 20?
Yeah, well, I can't.
Okay.
Hi, Laura, I see you.
23rd of January, I believe.
23rd, it's Saturday, and that's gonna be wonderful. It's also gonna be kind of our baptism by Zoom. How we do, although Terry Lynn has she has lots of practice. I don't, as you will see today, and I apologize for that, but I learn by doing, as do I think most of you. So we're gonna do our best, and in 2021, one of the things we have planned is demos by some pretty big names like Rita Kirkman and Jerry Greenberg and et cetera. And we hope to have one every other month. So that's coming.
Wow.
We'll let you know.
Cool.
And that's for our members who we love you guys, and we appreciate, we appreciate your support as our members. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over first to Terry Lynn. She is going to talk about how to photograph your images. And then she's going to move into how to edit your image on a Mac or an Apple product. Then she'll hand it over to me, and I will work with you on, I have 3 different applications on my PC that manage photos. They're not equally as good as one another, but I can show you what they do and how that works. So the first portion of taking photographs is for everybody.
Okay, I'm going to mute you. If you're not muted, would you mute yourself now? And then we'll have a time later on that we can.
Want me to mute myself too?
I don't know. You're okay. If you have any questions. Now, remember that Mary Beth can't see you. So if you have any comments as I'm working along, please put it in the chat. So Mary Beth, if you could pay attention maybe to the chat as well. All right. I just want to start out with showing you that on our website, this is the Pastel Society of Maine website, and this is under resources here. And if you click on resources, you'll see right at the top is image prep. And if you go down, these are the 3 explanations that are given, and it links into the ShowSubmit website. So that's there, and eventually we'll have our own link, because when we finish this, hopefully we can put this up on YouTube as a video and share that with you. So that's a great resource right off the bat. Let's look into photographing your image. I have my notes here, so I'm going to be looking at that, and I'm going to keep losing you folks. All right. Here we are. This is an image, for instance. You guys, I believe you know how to photograph images, but I just want to go through it because that's just to make a good foundation. If you look at this painting right here, it's already framed, it's under glass, it's photographed, it's out of focus. This is not going to work to submit to shows, all right? So that should have been photographed before you frame it. And you want to do that, like usually when I'm finishing a painting, sign it, I photograph it, get it ready to go. Another image here I've photographed, And this is the colors that it actually is. I was doing a bright snow scene. You do not want your image to be photographed this way. I have a spotlight over here, and you can see this lower part is brighter than this upper part, and that's uneven lighting. So you want to try to get as even lighting as possible. 2 or 3 lights in a room, or a great thing to do is to take it outside in a shadowed area, but also be very attentive as to how much, like what kind of other colors are reflecting onto that painting. If you're outside in a shadowed area and there's a red building beside you and the sun's reflecting off that, that's going to really affect your colors. So you want as neutral a place as possible to photograph your work with even lighting. When I'm photographing a piece, I have, this is my black drawing board, and I use a lot of the black masking tape. As I photograph it, I will set up a strip of white paper right beside it, because you can see here in my painting, the brightest thing is not white. But if I photographed it without this white strip, my camera would want to automatically adjust that to being white. Our cameras are automatically constantly looking for what they call the white balance. So they're going to take the thing that's in your photo and make that the lightest thing is going to be white. So by having this beside it, it's going to help your camera find. So I have, you know, that white balance. So here's your black, you got a white, and now the camera will basically read these things as they should be by comparison. This, and I'll show you, I'll do a quick walkthrough on this. This is my camera. When you're going to take a picture, I will, can you see me, folks? If you can see on my camera, when it's open, I will touch the screen and hold my finger there until that little yellow square shows up, and it will tell me that it's locked. That locks my focus and it locks the light. And this area I have chosen because it has the highest contrast, my lightest lights, my darkest darks in the painting, and the most detail, basically. So once you do that, then you will take your picture. And here it is now on my phone. This is just a quick snapshot. On my phone, because I can't show you on my phone, I now crop it. The nice thing on most smartphone programs, and this is called Photo on, I happen to have an iPhone, so it is Photo right there. And that's all I'm using. I can crop it, and you can crop it freehand, or you can do by set ratios. For instance, if you use the 2:3, for me, that translates into a 12:18 painting. The 3:4 is more like an 8:10 or something. So try to be aware of those ratios. You can Google your ratios online to double check. Then I crop it. I try to do quite as much as I can possible on my phone. I'm still on the phone. So I level it out. You know, sometimes when you take a picture, it's a little off like this. You want to level it, and you can do that with a grid on your phone. And then I crop it. And then I'm going to adjust it. Now at this point, I'm standing in front of my painting, and I have the phone beside it. And I try to adjust anything I can as close as possible to the original painting. And there are a number of settings in your photo editing program that can do that right on your smartphone. The brightness, the tint, that's it's kind of magenta or a little more yellow or something. Saturation, your black point to kind of add a little contrast. Here is a great rule of thumb. I learned this on something. I'm always researching and finding out new information. Is if you're making an adjustment, say you say, oh, it's not bright enough, and you go to what you think it is bright enough, great rule of thumb is to back it back down from that 1/3 to 1/2. By comparison, our minds want to make a greater adjustment than what is actually necessary. So go ahead, aim for that adjustment, brighter, more contrast, more saturation, then back it down a bit. I got that from some professional photographer. This point, I'm like, oh my goodness. And this is just a little extra, okay? This is not your basic, but I forgot to put my signature in. So on a lot of the programs, you can actually add a signature into your iPhone. I have it on my iPhone. You write it in on your touchpad, it records it, and then look, I can put it down here. Here's my little signature. So if I forgot to do it, then it's there. What I have done too, when you're taking a picture, take 2 or 3 pictures so you have the best one to choose from, is my recommendation. Also, when you're doing that edit, don't use autofix. A lot of these programs have an autofix that will automatically contrast it up, add color. It's taking control. The camera takes control instead of you. So it's best for you to control certain items. Don't overexpose. I'm just double checking, make sure I've covered things. Yes. Okay. Then once you have those on your phone, go ahead and choose the best image that you have of that. And the next steps are going to help with that. I'm going to reduce this. I'm going to stop sharing screen. Whoop, sorry. Is my screen still shared? Somebody nod at me, or? No, it's not. Okay, thanks. Going to my next folder. If you have questions, write them down and we'll try to answer in a group after. Okay. I love how I get these layers going and then I lose where we are. There you are. This is an app that you can actually use on your smartphone, and it's called Crop Size. It's basically free, I believe. Let me check. No, it's $3. I apologize. I put this on the PDF I sent out to you. Crop Size is an app for $3, and it's recommended. It's probably worth it. What you can do is here, in the program I have on my phone, my Photos program, it will not resize the pixels for me. This will do that. Honestly, I haven't used this enough to be really familiar with it, but that's what the icon looks like when you go into your store to buy something, your app store. You get to choose, and you can choose one or more of your photos, and then it describes it here. See how this one has your pixels? I try to shoot in the largest size that I possibly can to start with, and then save that original in that highest size, and then duplicate it, make a copy of it, and that's the one you're going to play around with. Try to always save the original highest photo that you can. If that makes sense.
There's a question.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion about using a camera instead of a phone? Margaret Munson.
Right. I've had a lot of experience with both. I mean, I minored in photography in college, but with these new smartphones, if you have an updated smartphone, I'm finding that they're doing almost as good quality as a lot of your cameras, especially if you have a slightly older DSLR, the digital SLR. They're still good. They both work quite well.
I think too, the difference is in communicating between the camera and the computer. And that's where you often find some difficulty.
Yes. Yeah, well, the camera, the nice thing is usually you get your photo card and you can stick that into your computer and then you can go from there. I'm just giving this option as people who might want to try this right on their phone. Like I remember somebody said that they just had their phone, and they're out there. And one of the great ways, if you get something like this crop size, there are some great videos on YouTube that will instruct. I sent a couple out. On my first page, I had resize on iPhone, and there's a gentleman, his name is Gary, and he works with a Mac product, and he is clear, he's precise, concise, he's great. Crop size program itself does have a YouTube video, but it moves so quickly, it was hard to follow. His was better. So here's your sizes. Here you can adjust this. See the photo size? This is the length and width pixels. You can adjust one. For instance, if one of the places you are submitting to says we want the longest side to be 1200 pixels, this is where you would highlight that longest size and change it to 1200 pixels, and it should automatically resize the other to keep the original ratio. Then again, you can go in here, you can check your size in megapixels. A lot of these ShowSubmit places are looking for you to be under 2 meg. So that's a way to double check that.
Tom Bailey has a question.
Yes, Tom.
What was the app for adding signature on the iPhone?
That is in my, I don't know if they can see my,
Is it in the crop?
photo. It's in
Oh,
photos on mine.
Okay.
But it was
See,
kind of a hidden thing I had to find. So I just came, I was up in, where was it? When you choose a photo to edit, when you edit it, sorry, and I can do more in this if it's, there's a little extra dot up here that has extra things, and it's under markup. You can't see this, I am sure, but it's under markup in that particular photo app, and different ones have different items on that, different, names, depending on which application you're using. Here, if you want to adjust your volume, any color or different things, that's available in, this is the crop size program, but you should have probably already done it by now. And then here you want to make sure that you name your photo. So that was just a quick overview of crop size. It's fairly new to me. As I said, I haven't used that much myself yet, but it was recommended. Yeah, when I found that signature thing the other day, I'm like, this is so cool.
Tom says, thanks. Never noticed it before.
No,
I haven't noticed it either, Tom. Great.
It's pretty neat, and it's small. You have to, I had to do a number of them because trying to write your signature on your phone, and I tried until I got it, until it looked like it was okay. So that was all right. Any other questions? Because my next step is resizing on the Mac.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got it.
In my iPhone, or most ones take 72, DPI. In most contests, like 300 DPI. Can you explain the difference?
DPI
Just
is
talk to
your,
that point.
I'm sorry? Yeah, a
Just
DPI is just
difference.
your dots per inch. A dot is a pixel. So all of our photographs are split up into tiny little dots or pixels. And that's just the amount per inch. So it's the resolution. That's what is also referred to as the resolution, is your DPI, dots per inch. And some like it more concentrated. The way I edit that is the next step I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Okay. So let me, no, that's my practice one. Sorry, I'm just trying to clean up my things here so I can get it clearly presented. I have these in folders so I can share them well. Any questions while I'm looking for this other one?
Does it make sense to you so far? Makes
Here
sense.
it is. Okay.
What's the difference between dots per inch and MB? That comes up.
That's your megabytes. That's like your dots per inch is per inch. The megabytes is overall. Like, is it kilobytes or megabytes, or like when they usually want it, say under 2 megabytes?
Mhm.
Yeah, and that'll show on this next.
Well, I've noticed that some photos will come up as 5 megabytes, some will be 3, even of the same photo, depending on how I've taken a picture of it. And then in the photos themselves, for instance, if I were going to send a photo to somebody else, it would say, do you want this in original size, small, medium, or large? I don't understand that either. And I don't know how that affects sizing, if it does.
That's usually if you're emailing it, right? It'll ask you that.
Yeah, but emailing it to shows, for instance, like ShowSubmit or something like that.
And small, medium, large, I apologize. I don't know what that means exactly. They don't tell you how big, small, medium, or large is. They're just,
that's right,
you know, simplified thing. And
let me add, Tom Bailey has a chat message here, and he says DPI is dots per inch for printing inks. PPI is for screen, that's pixels per inch. Megabytes is file size on your computer. So if you have 5 megabyte picture versus a 1 megabyte, if you blew that up, you'd probably find that you had a lot more pixel information in the larger size.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but for sending, you can send a very decent image at a smaller megabyte or a smaller size. However, you always want to save your original images as high as you can.
Okay.
Original,
Yeah.
because then you've got all
helps.
the information that you need for a really crisp, clear view.
The only way I found out whether the photograph was correctly sized was getting an acceptance or rejection from the photo at online, submit online, whatever. And then you would send in a different photo in a different small, medium, and large. And I found medium was working for some, large for others. And it was such a toss-up. I just, I'm wildly confused on this whole thing.
It is confusing. I'm not totally understanding why are some people, and when they're asking you, Tom is right about the DPI and PPI, of course, but they'll ask you for DPI. It's just kind of, I don't know why they keep using that where it's a, you know, a pixelated thing. It's
this is
so,
just
so what's the difference between 72 and 300 is huge, but some programs want one and some want the other. And I'm going to show you on that too. We have to be very careful what we submit to them.
right. Thank you.
Great questions. Yeah. Okay. Lost my zoom in. All right, I'm going now. Now, for me, my next step is getting the photo to my computer. I feel I have more control over it there. So I can either email it to myself in the highest resolution, or I can use my cord and go into my USB port and directly get it onto my computer. I then take those photographs and put them in folders. Let me just quickly show you my folders if I can. Sorry, actually that's, you understand what I mean by putting in a folder, right? You want to keep your work organized. I do it by year, 2020 paintings. I keep the original image, I keep the adjusted images, and I have ways of changing the name of that so I know which one is which. All right, here we go, share screen. So now I have it on my computer. I pulled it out of my folder, and this program that I'm using here is called Preview. This is on a Mac computer. All of your Apple Macs should come with this program, and I apologize to the PC people. Preview, I guess, is kind of like Paint on a PC. So I can open it up here, and this program does a lot more than people think it does. Here's my photo, and I go through the steps, and I've given you the steps on that PDF I sent you, resizing on a Mac. You get it there. I open Preview. So here it is open. The first thing I want to do is if I need to crop it right off. I already have it cropped from my phone. Remember, I did that back along. So this shouldn't be a situation for me. I already have done this. Then I go into my tools, and here are my tools. This is the Preview menu over here on Tools. It has, these are the ones I'm interested in: adjust color and adjust size. Right now, I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. So the first thing I do is, again, double check my color. I will edit my color. When it says adjust color, this menu here pops up. Again, make any adjustments with your paintings beside you as close as possible to the original. Make those adjustments, and again, back off 1/3 to 1/2 so you don't overdo it. It's tempting to overdo sometimes. I mean, you've heard that people can get paintings rejected because they are not accurately portraying the painting. So right now it's not as much because everything's online, but when we go back to what do we want to call it, in live shows, you know, that they're going to look at that and go, well, that didn't look like the original image that you sent. So you want to be careful with this.
It can disqualify you.
It can disqualify you from the show, yes. So again, here's, oops, I forgot my signature. Now the nice thing about Preview is those that have Preview, you can go down here to annotate, and look, you can do another little signature thing. Yeah, so in case you did that. And then you can add your signature. This point is where I name it. I didn't say name. Where's my naming? I'm sorry. Add the signature. Yeah. I name it here, and you can do that quickly by just highlighting and renaming. It's just easier at this point to have name. Then you go to duplicate it. So you have your original, and now you have at least one copy, and you can do 2 copies if you want. Now, with the copy, we're going to edit the size. In Preview, this is what this looks like. This is what it comes up with originally. Somebody asked about the 72 resolution, see, per inch here. This is what the original photo was taken in. But remember, I took it large, and then I already cropped it on my phone. So that's why it's a little smaller here. Adjust the size. If it's only 900 on the longest side, do that here. And it will automatically, this means it's locked ratio. So as you adjust that to 900, it's going to adjust the other. Oh, I'm titling here. for me, this is the full title. And when I do a title, I'll have, say it's Apple II, then my copy, it automatically says copy, but I'll put copy. I don't say copy, I'll put something else in there. Like what my files often have will say 72 or 300. So as I'm going through my folder, I know right off the bat, which is my 300, which is my 72. It's just a quick reference for me. But then you have to remove that before you submit it to your show. So this is image 1, Apple II 1 at 72. And then here's my other one at the 300. So I save those into the folder. One you will save, the original will get saved. The copy you'll have to export and just make sure you save it. Into your folder. Somebody's mic is on.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay.
just double check to make sure you have a slightly different name for it. That's for your. Now here, as I'm putting in the folder and I'm saving it, I'm looking down at this item right here. Here's my quality. There's a toggle switch right here that will tell me my file size, and I have room. If I have a 2 meg limit, I can slide this all the way up to its highest quality and still be well under my 2 meg. So you save that in your folder before you upload it. Make sure you remove that like 72 or 300 or whatever else. That's important. So that's pretty quick and simple for preview.
Here's a question from Kathleen Sutherland asking about why have a signature if judging is supposed to be without knowing who the artists are.
I know, right? That's a great question, because a lot of people, I mean, if you sign your original painting, you see these paintings being submitted that have the signatures on them. What are you going to erase that? And I'm not saying you have to, that was kind of a little extra, like, oh, hey, by the way, you can put this on there. And then of course you get your artists that have very recognizable styles, and you know that the judges know who they are. Right? So
I think we have to trust the judges to have integrity about, they may recognize a style, but it doesn't mean that, how can you avoid that? That's what we're all learning, is how to have our own style. And, if your work is recognizable, that's a good thing. Right?
Yes, it should be, because we should have our own styles and things. So, all right, I'm going to kind of finish. I'm going to keep going. Thanks for all your questions. Great questions. Now we go to ShowSubmit.
Okay.
Or you get the prospectus from a show from their website. Hold on to that, because you're going to need to know this information. This is just one of the submission. I can't talk now. Submission sites, right? ShowSubmit is used by quite a bit. So you log into your artist account. If you don't have one, you create a new one. It's not hard. It's pretty self-explanatory. Got an old password here, signing into my account. You go to your new shows. Sometimes I go in here just to check what shows are coming up, and that way you get into some that you might not have thought of. So let's see, here's Pastel Artists of New Zealand. So we're going to go look at this, say we want to submit to that, go through all of this information. Here's their website if you want to check that out. Here's the prospectus. I often open this up and I will download it onto my computer, and I keep it in a file, and I do it by date, so I see what's coming up and I know what the deadlines are. This one's February 22nd. Ooh, look at this, Judges Lynn Deffenbach. Yay. Dates at a glance, right off the bat. Get this? It'll give you their dates, what kind of work is eligible. Make sure that you understand this because every show's different. And here's the big one, image specifications. I can't move my mouse without getting rid of this. But if you glance down through here, you say they want it 300 DPI, 1200 pixels on the longer side. So that's your details. That's where you want to make sure that you're getting what that particular show wants for your image size. This is that prep page I referred you to at the beginning that we have linked in. File name instructions. Each show, most of them are becoming pretty consistent. Last name underscore, first initial underscore, the title with no spaces. That's how most of them want it. But check each show because each one can be different. And then check your fee. How much is it going to be? Notice this one, PANS members only. I'm not a member of the New Zealand Pastel Society, so I can't unless I go. And sometimes it's worth joining a society just so you can get into some of their shows. That's up to you. And now that we are international and everything's available online, it opens up so many things. This year has forced me to be much more online, and it's been advantageous to me. I have gotten a number of paintings in a number of national shows, which I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. I didn't have to ship them this year. It was great. So look for those things. And then always, double check, make sure. So go through those instructions carefully for each and every show that you are going to enter. Whew. All right, that's my section. That's a lot. We'll upload the video, and you've got my instructions, and I'm going to link into that. So any questions for Mac or Apple before it goes over to Mary Beth?
Thank you, Terry Lynn. That's amazing. I'm always impressed at how much is given to Mac users in the programs. They're just, they do say that Apple tends to be pretty comprehensive. You pay a little more for the products, but you get more. And with a PC, you kind of have to add. You have to add things, and that bumps up the cost there. Any questions for Terry Lynn that are specifically Apple product based? I think
Terry Lynn,
Yes,
I have a question. You mentioned Affinity Designer at the top of the replacement for Photoshop. Can you talk about that and how that might be useful for Apple users?
Excellent. This came up recently for people who are used to, in another meeting, it came up for me. I'm waiting for it to open right now. Affinity Designer, it replaces kind of Photoshop. And a lot of you know, if you have Photoshop, it's going to be a monthly rate throughout the year, right? And you have to keep paying like a membership. And some of the teachers, pastel teachers that I'm in a group with, this Affinity Designer came up, and it runs about $20 on an iPhone or iPad and about $50 on your desktop. And that is a one-time fee, and then you own it. There's no ongoing payment like there kind of is with your Photoshop, right? So that was recommended. I have downloaded it. I have not yet really used it much, but you can see here, it does look a lot. I'm just going to grab a photo off my desktop here and bring it in. It does look a lot like Photoshop. All of the things that you can do with it, your background, you can layer things. There's a number of different things if you are familiar with Photoshop. Comments by, like Laura Pollock said, she finds this a little simpler to use than Photoshop, but it also has more depth in her experience. So that's something possibly to consider if you're familiar and comfortable with Photoshop. I try to avoid those complex programs as much as possible.
Me too.
Yeah.
Tom Bailey has a remark. If you have to lower your size, would you recommend shrinking the PPI or file edge size?
To me, that would depend on the show requirements. I would see if they wanted at, oh gosh. But Tom, you know the difference between these two. That's a great question. I would probably do the edge size. I want as much pixels per inch. I want that as much as possible. I want the highest resolution at the size possible. You've caught me on this one, Tom. Because to me, my understanding is there is a correlation between your pixels and the resolution.
Well, when you save, you have it saved at a certain pixels PPI, but then the resolution is 72 or is it 300? So that seems to be an unrelated piece of information, right? I mean, you could save your image at 900 pixels on the longest side, but at a higher resolution, I would think.
PPI per size is the file size.
Yeah.
So that's correlated, yes? For instance, and if you can take an image and you can resize it to just about anything you want. Like here's an image. Say I am going to crop it. I am now in my preview again. I crop that image and then I go to my tools, which I don't think you can see right now, to adjust my size. Can you see the little screen that has the adjustment size on it?
Yes. We can do that, yep.
All right. So say I want, I want this to be 8,000. Whoops. It went away. I didn't want it to go away.
Let's see the dots per inch again.
So this is now, given this image, now has, let's look at it.
It has more pixels.
Has way more pixels, right?
So
it went from 1 megabyte and it is now 4 megabytes in size.
Okay.
And I can also make this 500 if I want as my resolution. That to me, I tend to go more for that. That's wow.
What does that do to the file size? Now, can we look at the file size and see what that does to it? Okay, so it's 4 megabyte, 100%.
Yeah. Whereas if I bring this back down, resize it by the pixels on the side. See, now I'm down to a much smaller. That's only a half a megabyte, about approximately. So that's one thing to do. Just to letting you know, if you have some paper like this that has white on it, then you don't have to worry about. But see how I always photograph it with some white and black showing. It just helps with your color balance. Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, Tom, yes. Tom says the PPI times size equals the file size. Okay.
Yeah, so you have the, excellent. But that's it. You don't really have to understand all of that. What you want to do is get it down so the shows, you're doing what the show wants.
right.
All right, Mary Beth?
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about PC. I feel like I'm always learning. So bear with me. My first question to myself is, okay, I have to get my information over to my PC in order to edit my photos. I have an iPhone and it has such a great camera that I tend to use that for my picture taking. It doesn't talk well with my computer. So how do I get my pictures from my iPhone to my PC? There are several ways. One is to email myself a photograph from my phone. It comes up in a high resolution, original resolution. It's very workable. And I'll show you what I do when I do that. You can also connect your iPhone to the computer with a USB cable and download directly to one of your, a photo editing option. And the third way that I've accessed my photos is to access them through like an iCloud storage device. And I tend to use I think it's called OneDrive. It's a Microsoft thing. I keep a lot of files there and photos and stuff, and I can usually access there. So I'm going to show you one exercise in uploading from my email. And if this is unnecessary for you, just bear with me. I'll be short. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go with my Chrome tab first. It's not doing it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here I am in my I'm in my email. Can you see this? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this is my email, Gmail, and I've emailed myself this image. So first thing I'm going to do is just click on the image, which brings it up to this page, and my option is to open it or to download it. So I'm going to download it, and then it goes here. The next thing I do is I'll upload it. Okay, I'm going to cancel that out. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, yes, we can see your screen.
So is that
Actually, I think you're still in the mail.
Okay. You're still in the mail? Okay. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to show you another screen. I haven't figured out how to show everything really well.
I still have you on screen share. Is that?
You do?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm going to go to my application window, and it's going to be here. So when I uploaded that photo, it went straight to this software, Adobe Photoshop Express. And it is a simplified version of Adobe. I don't love it, but it is, it's a place, it's a place to work from, obviously. So here's my image. First thing I should do is crop it. And so you can see that I have done that. I did it a little earlier while I was trying to, get this organized. But here's the original photo. And so I've cropped it down. And then I want to.
Microphone is unmuted.
So if I keep the original, it's going to mess me up. So I'm going to go free size so I can crop this the way I want to. You can see that I didn't take a great picture. It's kind of out of square. So this software does not have a squaring up option. So I have to pay attention to that when I'm taking the photograph. Now, what I want to do now is I want to save this. And so I'll go save it in a file. And what I should do is give it a name that's particular. And I'll save it with a particular name. Then I want to go to that file. Sorry. And I want to check it out. Now, I want to see what this is. So you can see that this is only at 1,000. My original file is at 4,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. And this is the one that I want to make sure I never alter. I might crop that, but I never want to alter that. This one I saved also, and see how I put an O at the end of the name, like I wanted to distinguish it. So this one's called Yellow Landscape O. And I'm telling myself that's the original. I never want to mess with that. But I can take this one and I can open that. So this one, if I hold this on there, I can see what it is. It's at 4,000 by 3,000, and it's a 5 megabyte picture. There's a lot of information in that. I'm going to open that one. And we'll start over. I will crop it. Yep. I'm going to try to crop it. All right, it's not obeying me. And then I'm going to go to this resize. This is all it gives me, is this resize. I can go to 1,000 pixels on the longest side, and the next is, 800. So it's very limited. I can't do very much with it. I always make sure that the JPEG quality is on maximum, as you can see right here. I could go smaller, but I want to keep it on maximum. I want to keep it as crisp as possible. So I'll, if I'm submitting to ShowSubmit and they want 900 on the longest side, I'll go to 1,000. I think I'm well under the megabyte range, and then I will save that. I have not messed around with the lighting or the color of it because I had done that already. Let's see. I'm going to do like 4. So let's save that. And let's make sure what we have. I'm just checking on what I have saved so that we always know what we've got. That was number, where are we? I'm at 1,000, and see my kilobytes is at 535. So I'm well below a megabyte. And really, I don't know how to adjust my, what do you call that? Dots per inch on my PC. So what I tend to do is get as high of a resolution as I can. I send it in. Sometimes it gets kicked back. Sometimes I email Joe Baker and ask him for help. He's really helpful, but I try not to bug him too much. Now I'm going to show you another thing. Have I stopped sharing?
Mary Beth,
Sorry.
Joe
Yeah?
Baker is on ShowSubmit.
Joe Baker is on ShowSubmit, yeah. And he's amazing guy. He really is helpful. I want to show you another option on the PC that I have used, and I'm going to share my screen and show you the Paint 3D feature. Okay, so this is Paint 3D is a Microsoft friendly editing software. So when I pull it up, I come to this and they want me to import an image. So I'm going to open a file and I'm going to browse my files. Let's see. Let's try this one. This is a different one. This is the original though, so I don't want that. I'm going to, if I take this, understanding that this is the original, I don't want to mess around with that. So I've copied it and I'm going to use that one.
This is why it's important to keep these files really organized.
Yes. So one of the things that's good to do is to create a new file where you are keeping images for your editing for show entry. I'll first start by cropping. Want a clean edge. Fortunately, this had a fairly clean edge taped off. And then this gives me this option to choose your framing. I'm going to go custom, I think. Let's see. And I'm going to lock the aspect ratio. And I'm going to say done right now. You can see my width and height are still big, but I'm going to go done. Now, if you want to fool around with color, have to go to Canvas. No, you don't. Effects. And this only gives you this goofy light wheel, but you know, I don't do a thing with that because I feel like if your photograph has been done carefully, then you should be all right. But I could, you know, it's just, ugh, I'm out of there. So I don't use that. But I am, let's see. What I'm gonna do is right click the image. See canvas options. I left click on that. And this gives me the option to adjust these pixels. Let's say I want 900 on a side. I'll put that in and then I'll highlight the other one and it'll automatically adjust. And then I'd save this. I'd say, let's see. Menu. And then I would save it as. And I'd go into I'd save it as a project and save in Paint 3D. So now I've saved this smaller image in Paint 3D. Those are two options on my PC. I have a third option, which is Microsoft Photos. And I'm not sure how I'm going to share this. I don't know if anyone wants to see it, but let me attempt to share it, okay? Let's see. I guess I have to bring it up first. Hang on a sec. All right, I'm going to try to share this screen. Okay. Presentation window. This is my basic photos editing software, another software that I have in my computer. I have made this album here of paintings, and I can take one out of here to play with. Here's that one again in its original form. In this one, I would crop first. I don't know if I showed this already. And then I'll keep it there. Save a copy of that. I'm going to go to adjustments. You can fool around with the light here. As I said, I don't like to mess with that because you should have a really good photograph to start with. You shouldn't have to adjust too much. Sometimes too, the monitor is, if you adjust too much on a monitor, you'll end up with something that's not very usable, and you don't want that. The clarity is about, yeah, see, that's like, you don't want to represent yourself improperly. And then let's see, you save a copy. So let's say I'll save a copy. Then it takes me back to the main. Here I am again, and here, if I left click the image, I'm sorry, right click the image, this drop down menu appears. I can go to this resize, click it. I'm going to go custom. I will tell it what I want. Say it's 1200 on one side. And then this is automatically recalibrated. Always make the quality as high as possible. And I can save this resized copy, and I can rename it. Well, I would rename it. This is what I do. If it's for the show, I'd do Morrison _ MB _ yellow landscape .jpg. And for my own interest, I would say 1200, just so I know what I got. Save it. And then I'm done. I hope that, I don't know how clear that was, but it's making more sense to me. Are there any questions for that for me? I want to know.
Unmute if you'd like. I'm unmuting people, so.
I can't see you, so I feel terrible that I can't see you. I'm a very visual person, and I'm missing seeing you, but happy that you're there. I wonder how many of you have avoided shows because you didn't know how to do this, or it was a scary task for you.
I did.
Yeah.
I tried and failed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's important to know, because this is a way that we are getting availability to get into shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The world of computer and imagery is pretty, it's right there, is pretty scary, but really the way to get it is just to jump in and start working with it. Don't be, sometimes the frustration too is it's good to work hard on it and then get away from it, give yourself a break, and maybe read a little bit or Google your problem very specifically, like how do I resize the DPI on my PC of my images? You can go try something like that and see what it brings you. Sometimes you'll get an answer, many times you won't. So, do go to the tutorials that are offered on these ShowSubmits, and because they have really good tutorials. I will say the ShowSubmit is not very up to date for PC users. They offer help on Picasa, which is no longer supported. And I had struggled and used Picasa several years, and I've decided, oh my word, this is very hard. So a couple of years I tried sending in my submission to, and I got a message one time from Joe Baker, and he said, I'm going to fix this for you because something's wrong with it. And he said, send me the file just the way it is in your computer, send it, and I'll fix it for you. It's really helpful. So
He's
don't.
done that for me.
That was generous of him.
Nice.
He is really generous.
Yeah.
Now, some people may not be, but if you don't feel like you're drowning, it's just a solvable thing. And it's really, this is the way that we become acquainted with our computers in a way that you learn by doing. So,
Yeah, you do.
I have one question for
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Tara. You said that you have to put your photos of your paintings in a folder. And I have a Mac computer. Do you keep it in the photos files? You make albums in there, or do you make a separate folder? Do you?
I use folder. Let's see if I can get this up for you. Like here are my art folders. I have organizations, exhibits and stuff. I'll go into my art. This is my artworks. You can see I organize them by the year that I created them. Within that, I can also, this is when I was using my Nikon or if I'm using my iPhone. And I, again, have found that the resolution in the iPhone is pretty, it's very good. These newer phones are just, the cameras are great. I also, you can see in my folder here that I've got 2 images of each painting. So here's one at 72 DPI and here's one at 300 DPI, kind of all ready to go.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's how I do it.
Well, very
Yeah,
organized.
So to make a folder, you go to Finder, and then you make a folder, a new folder. Or
You're in the make a new folder.
I
Or
know,
make a
make
new
it, yeah, to make a new folder, I will, like say if I'm here on my Mac, I will right click. This is my right click,
yeah.
right? I right click and I add new folder. That's a left click. I title
And
that
there-
folder, right?
Yeah.
Now I have a new folder.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It will make sense, Marika.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I have to do
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah, just do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
But
want me to do that?
So you don't go to Finder, which is on the bottom.
Oh,
No.
I don't. Well, here, that's the folder again. Even within here now, you can see my arrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I
cursor,
do.
yep. So I right click, and when I right click, this little menu comes up to add a folder.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to put a folder there.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't have a folder on your desktop, well, I don't know if I can do my whole desktop.
So you go to any kind of folder and then right click.
You can,
And you can do it
Yeah.
right on your desktop as well.
Stop. Yeah. Okay.
Right click and then you can start a new
Yeah.
folder.
New folder. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll try.
Now, remember that, I mean, Pastel Society Maine at Gmail, that email, you can email us and ask questions if you need some clarification on something. We'll help when we can, right, Narabeth?
Okay.
So
yeah.
Okay.
we want
you
to
very
get
much.
everybody out there
Thank you.
submitting paintings because you're
Mm.
just, it's a hard year to be missing shows this year and coming into the next year.
Yeah. Well, thank you. for
Thank
all
you
the-
very much. Thank you.
Terry,
Thank you. Very
Any
useful.
other
job.
questions? I hope it helps.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for putting it together.
Yeah.
You are welcome. Our
So
pleasure.
let me say
Can you
that
hear me?
if
How
you
do you
have,
get the little thumbs up on your picture? How do you get that? Mike and Lily, how
Down-
did you do that?
Diana, it's under reactions at the bottom.
At the
Oh.
very bottom, where you chat,
Let me-
you can also put reactions.
Oh, I'll hunt for it some other time. I don't see it, but I'll figure it out.
Well, if you
Um,
try some of these things and you're still not confident, just check with us before you want to submit and we'll see what we can do to help for sure.
yeah.
Thanks, Laura.
All right. Thank you.
Kind of you.
Nice.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And
Thank
you
you.
send your
Thanks.
feedback if you have any questions. Send your feedback too, and if you have questions, we'd love to help you.
Oh, thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Appreciate it.
us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Nice to meet
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye-bye.
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 You can do part of it.